Joe Lanza last week on the Voices of Wrestling, he did about 45 minutes about WWE's tremendous, awesome. Like they are the best at this. They're like their PR war against AEW and just how far advanced they are versus AEW. Nick Khan, he called Nick Khan a beast in a world of circus clowns, and I think that was a tremendous way to describe Nick Khan compared to all the other competition out there in the WWE. He came into this carnival world of WWE, and he has totally flipped it upside down. And he's made it look like a super competent business that is killing everybody in PR. And he named specifically his communications director, Chris Legentil, as being a guy that has befriended a lot of members of the media to even go down to like low level media and like pushing stories, PR stories to them and getting them not to cite him as a source. So it makes it seem like they're doing something like journalistic when really it's just a PR story that's being fed to them and they're kind of running with the shit. And he kind of called it all out. And one of those stories, now we can't specifically sit here and say that Chris Legentil gave Action News Jacksonville the story of AEW hiring seat fillers, which is one of the most common things that happens in televised entertainment. I personally have like gotten people, they're not gigs, but they do that through the military all the time. If there's like a local military installation, they'll give out free tickets to fill up seats. Every company has done it. I've been to free UFC events, tons of them, right? Boxing events. Just recently, BQ went to an AEW event, and then recently he went to TNA for free. WWE gives out free tickets. Everybody gives out free tickets, and then like Oscars, Golden Globes, concerts, everything. They have what is called seat fillers for like hard cam sides. So when people leave their seats for a prolonged period of time, it's their job to essentially go and sit into those seats. That way it doesn't look like there's empty seats. Very common thing. But what the WWE did is they got this clown in Jacksonville who happens to be on the local news there and apparently has an issue with Tony Khan. They're like feuding or something like that, and published a story. And of course, all the scumbag aggregators went for it, to include one guy from a prominent site went like quote tweeted. He ended up deleting it later. Whatever. I'm sure his boss called him out. His boss is pretty schooled up on this stuff.
His boss called him out. Is the biggest idiot of them all. Which boss are you talking about, by the way?
Sap. I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure like Sap told me to take it down. Not Jimmy Van.
I meant Jimmy Van.
I bet like Sap is he knows the shit. So, and so anyway, it became a whole thing. And what it did is it kicked off Vince McMahon off the headlines of what's going on in his case. So I introduced the story. I know you got a lot to say about it. I have a lot to say. JD, take it away.
Surprisingly, I don't got as much as you might think I do. Yeah, I don't mean to call it Sean Ross Sapp. He's going through some stuff right now, so I don't want to see anybody.
Yeah,
I don't like seeing people struggle. That being said, call it Jimmy Van all you want because he's a scumbag. This Irish dork. It's funny. I'll stop prefaces. It was Joe's idea. Joe, our boss for Voices of Wrestling. Joe's whole idea was to praise WWE and call out AEW for not being, for bringing was it a knife to a gunfight? It might actually be bringing like, paper clips to a gunfight, really, the way this whole thing's going on. But a lot of the, people in our circles have kind of turned on the media, and he's like, I don't want to see you guys doing that. And I disagree completely. I think we should completely turn on the media. I think you should call them out for every bit of fucking bullshit they pull, because these are guys that know better should be called out. And some Irish kid, right, who doesn't know what he's doing needs to be called on. The same way goes, would it tell you to say one good thing about WWE? Well, yeah, they're great at cover-ups. Yeah. Like, they successfully covered up Nancy Argento's murder. Bravo. Like, what?
Yeah. And this kid, we actually brought him up 2 weeks ago because King of the North actually sent me one. He sent me the tweet and I actually brought it up right here on the air. Like his tweet telling Drain Bramage, can you possibly give WWE credit for anything? It's like, so you know where this kid's head's at, right? Like he's got like a couple of sources in developmental. He's like living off of those sources, and it's kind of gotten him some notoriety. And now we're really seeing what this kid's like. Kind of similar to the other like small child in the UK. His name by the way.
Yes. Oh, he disappeared. Good thing. The pizza fucker. Yeah. So here's the thing: is that like both you and I have gotten a modicum of notoriety at various points from just stuff that we do, but neither you or I have ever taken it seriously. Like I wrote that viral story on Kenny Omega about 4 years ago. You've done a ton of stuff with the Impact world, but both you and I are adults. We're not kids. Yeah. So we know that internet fame And a wish in one hand is, how that thing goes. It doesn't mean anything. But a lot of these guys like let this stuff get to their head and they think that they're something special when in reality, you're not. You're a useful idiot. And that's what we have right now in the wrestling media is a bunch of useful idiots. I'm not the biggest Rovert fan in the world, but I get entertained when Rovert calls out a bunch of people. And like, I know Sean's going through some stuff. I don't want to bag on Sean right now. And I know that he has to
And
defend his people.
I specifically don't think that he's the problem, by the way.
I don't either.
I think his lane, like he's very much like in our world, the wrestling media world. And unfortunately, as much as I have been fighting against it, the fact of the matter is that we're probably like low level guys, like a part of it. Like we're definitely like wrestling media. We're like the anti media, but we're definitely like, yeah, kind of part of it. But he is like our like Jay Glazer, Adam Schefter, or Ken Rosenthal. Like very. Like a lot of his scoops, shorthand, like very like accurate with free agency, like who's going where and yada yada yada. So that stuff. So I'm not calling him out specifically.
No, nor do I think you should. I mean, he's going to defend the people that he works with, but I just think he works. I don't know, man. Like they got that whole little crew there, and that was. I'll be honest with you. When you got into it, you weren't even trying. When John Alba tried to draw you into a fight, and you didn't, you just did the Mike Gilbert thing of talk some shit and walk away. I jumped right into the fire because I'd never met a fight I wasn't willing to walk away from. And, I pretty much told Sean Rossap that I think you guys are a PR wing, and he didn't disagree with me. Like, when you speak to people like an adult and say, look, man, this is what you guys are doing. I didn't get emotional. I didn't call names into it. Like, he didn't really argue with me. They kind of know what they are like. And that's the problem. This is where the power of what Nick Khan and Chris Gentile are doing right now is like they're giving them information. They're giving people news, but they don't want to be sourced, right? They don't want to be quoted. So I mean, like saying, Joe gave the best example on Flagship about the releases and saying, "Oh, the releases are much kinder this time." Which, by the way, Trevor Lee disputed that. The guy who got fired, actually.
Yeah, and we're gonna. I have the whole list of releases. We're gonna get into that because
I'm fine with that.
Some thoughts. Yeah,
but I mean, like, and for them to say that, it goes, well, the releases this time are much gentler, right? It's totally different than to print that than to write sources in WWE say, where it changes the topic, it changes the narrative on it, and the fact that these useful idiots are willing to play ball is, I think they should be called out on it because they have to be educated. Because I don't think a lot of these people have gone through media ethics. I don't think a lot of these people understand the game that they're playing. So I think I'm a firm fan of holding feet to the fire. And it's the only way you're going to learn is through failure and to be called out and dragged across coals a little bit. I know Joe didn't say that. JD's saying that. I'm saying it's time to call these people out because WWE knows what they're doing and they're trying to create smoke screens. They got a massive problem right now. We'll talk about the Janelle Grant lawsuit later, but they're trying to distance themselves from Vince McMahon as much as possible. So the way you do that is you turn people on Tony Khan, who plays into it far too well, to be quite honest with you.
He falls for it, and
he does.
And he really does. He gets sucked into it, and that's his fault. Like that, I mean, like he's the only one to blame for his behavior online. Like he really needs to put the phone away sometimes, but he just doesn't know how to do that.
No, and I get it. I get not being able to turn down an argument. I used to be really bad about that. I've gotten better about that. I think I've said before, 2024 has been a year I've really been taking time to work on me a lot, various aspects. I think Tony Khan needs to take some stock in himself a little bit and kind of clear himself because he was winning this thing for a long time. And we talk about wrestling being a carnival business, a carny business, right? And it's always these carny guys. Well, Nick Khan's not a carny. He's a goddamn shark.
Yes.
Right. And he's feasting on these people. Feasting on them. And I don't like it because I don't like WWE. I still think it's a vile organization. Right. But I can't be mad at Chris Gentile for doing his job. Right. His job is to make WWE look good. His job is to protect WWE. He's kicking ass. He's kicking ass. Yeah. It's not his fault that Corey Brennan's a freaking idiot and we'll just go, WWE is the greatest. It's just it's working.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a company, like a big company like that, you want Nick Khan and Chris Legento on your side.
Legento, I keep saying it wrong.
Yeah, Legento. You want them on your side. They are monsters. They really, like, in the best possible way.